Too often, I'm playing one of my favorite game modes on Garry's mod, and Kleiners will ask questions like, what is this bullshit? What the fuck is going on? How do I play this? And, okay Big B, stop trying to get me to go outside of the barricade. I know it's not safe out there. Well, here, I am deciding to dedicate a series of sorts into making a guide for arguably one of the neatest types of games in Garry's mod, Zombie Survival. Now, what is zombie survival? As the name implies, zombie survival is about surviving an oncoming zombie apocalypse. This game combines creativity on the survivor's end and brute strength on the zombie's end to either try and survive the dangerous zombie onslaught or overrun survivors and kill them all. The only way a person can truly win at this game is to be a human by the end of the game. No, zombies don't count. All zombies do is drag everyone else down to lose. That's why when you see at the end of the game, it says up top, you lose, the zombie horde grows stronger at the top. As mentioned before, the goal of the humans is to survive the zombie apocalypse. It's a lot harder than it sounds. Since the zombies are controlled by other human players, zombies can also use strategies of their own to ensure you lose. Now, how you will survive will almost always depend on how great of a barricade that can be set up. Now, what is a barricade? A barricade is what humans use to stop zombies from overwhelming them in an instant. Survivors will use the tool known as carpenter's hammers, probably the most important tool to use in the game, and nail various props around from the map to floors, ceilings, and walls to make barricades to block paths and make it harder for zombies to break in and eat them. However, barricades aren't the only thing survivors can do. That will be covered in greater detail. Now on to zombie basics. The zombies players are to kill all remaining humans. During the very beginning of the game, all players are survivors. However, some will become zombie volunteers. This is often done by meeting an in-game prerequisite, like the players closest to zombie spawns, being on the lowest floor level, etc., etc. It may even be random. Anyway, after the volunteers are picked, the game begins. The horde may seem very tiny, however, an advantage that zombies have is, aside from intermission time, zombies have infinite lives. Survivors only have one. This means zombies will more than likely use brute strength to destroy all survivors. How the horde grows is simple. As a zombie kills a survivor, the survivor turns into a zombie, just like you. This then makes the game easier for the zombies and harder for the remaining survivors, like how a horde would actually grow if zombies were real. However, there's a note to add here. If you kill 4 survivors as a zombie, you get to redeem back to the survivor side. This is great if you don't want to be on the zombies team and still have the ability to pull off a win. Note that boss zombie kills won't redeem you, and you cannot redeem past the 5th wave intermission. This means that as the game goes on, and more people die to zombies, the horde gets more and more dangerous. On top of that, and as the waves go on, more diverse, strong, and powerful zombies can be used at the zombies team disposal. I'll be giving a general covering of zombie team abilities and other types of zombies later in this guide. For now, I'll be going into further detail of how to play on the survivors team. While the general rule of thumb is to fucking survive the goddamn apocalypse, it's actually a lot harder than it sounds. If you don't even know how to function in the game, you'll die horrifically fast. Luckily, I'm going to cover a few little things that'll make your game easier for you to learn and adapt to, starting with controls. Controls for survivors is actually a little more complex than WASD to move and mouse 1 to shoot. However, I'm not gonna baby your ass. Sorry if this is baby's first shooter for you, but at least know how to play a first-person shooter to play zombie survival. However, there's actually a lot of small things that you should know how to do and isn't common knowledge to the average Kleiner. For instance, if you want to get into a barricade but it's being blocked with nailed props, the way you can get into that barricade is to hold your suit zoom key down. This lets you phase through most props that are nailed. Suit zoom is often bound to the Z key. Another thing to note is that when your ammo runs dry from a weapon, you won't automatically reload. You need to hit the R key to reload. That's a good trait and skill to learn and know how to do, whether you're playing zombie survival or not. Another good thing to know is how to pick up loose props and know how to nail them. The E key will allow you to pick up props. The heavier the prop, the slower you will move. If a prop is really big and heavy, you'll only drag it, unless you have the trait muscular. I'll go into detail what that is later. In order to nail a prop down, it needs to be free of other nails and can be nailed to a surface close to it. With the hammer out, and you having nails of course, you must right-click on the prop to an area that it can be nailed to. To unnail something, hover your cursor over the nail and hit the R key. These are just a few key things that you should generally know how to do. In later guides, I'll go over how to make good barricades and how to enhance playstyles to be more efficient and easier for you. Now, I just mentioned playstyles. Playstyles are a term I'm going to use a lot to describe how a survivor may play the game and, in a certain way, help ensure victory for you and your teammates. The humans need a rather diverse set of players specializing in different types of playstyles in order to survive. If the survivor team has too many of one type of playstyles, or not enough players on another type, this can mean travesty for the survivors. Keep in mind that I'm going to go over only a general list of playstyles with the base game of zombie survival. Other servers may have additional ways to playing these categories of survivors. I'm just going to list them off from, at least in my opinion, the most important to the least important types of survivors. Keep in mind again that everyone here has a special role, and this is my opinion. It is best to play all types of survivors on your own and make your own opinions from there. All these types of players can and will make or break survivors. Types of survivors include the Cater. Arguably the most important type of survivor, the Cater's job is to create barricades and keep them standing with various props around the map that will last the whole game through, stopping zombies from getting in where the survivors have held up and killing them. Caters need to know how to use various types of props around the map and stop zombies from getting into where the survivors have held up. They also need to keep the barricade standing by repairing and maintaining the props. The Medic. The Medic's job is simple. Keep your fellow survivors alive. People are gonna get hurt from the zombies, and without medics, the survivors are just a big health bar slowly ticking down to zero. Humans can die from other causes in zombie survival, such as poison, fall damage, head crabs, and many other types of ways that aren't just brute force from the zombies. Without medics, the zombie team may kill the survivors without ever breaking down the barricades. Defenders. Defenders are another very key group of people to the survivor's success, especially in the very beginning parts of the game. Defenders use a combination of firearms, explosives, and melee weapons to kill zombies attacking the other survivors and the barricades. Defenders are most notable in the beginning of the game, since while you can buy weapons later on with enough points, defenders will start the game with guns and ammo to defend the Caters from zombies trying to attack. If you just want to kill zombies and not deal with the more finicky types of playstyles, being a defender might be the class for you. Equipment users. Equipment users may or may not be a hybrid of other types of players. Equipment users will buy tools and pieces of equipment to help aid the survivors. From gun turrets, barricade kits, spot lamps, message beacons, manhacks, and so much more, equipment users are, and always will be, appreciated on any survivor's team. Merchants. Merchants are people who buy resupply boxes, and even more importantly, arsenal crates at the beginning of every game. These are the most important things a player can buy because they're the only way survivors can purchase stronger weapons, ammo, tools, and more from these crates. Merchants need to know how to place arsenal crates down at strategic locations, know how to pack them up, and keep them from being destroyed. Merchants also get a point every time somebody gets supplied with their resupply box, and they get a commission on everything a player buys from their box, as long as it's not themselves buying stuff from their own box. Runners. Runners are arguably the least important role to the survivors team, but they have a role nonetheless. Runners are people who, instead of holding up within a cade, will run around outside of cades, killing zombies, or at the very least be distraction. Runners typically pick traits that will help keep them alive, like extra speed, health, strong weapons, medical kits, etc. Some runners may decide to go into the cade if the zombie population gets too large, they're being targeted, or they feel it's dangerous to be a runner. If this runner decides to stay outside of a cade though, they will generally lose more and more effectiveness for the other survivors as the game goes on, from stronger, faster, and more dangerous zombies being unlocked to the horde's increasing size. However, runners can fill a niche role at times for the humans. Baiters. Baiters are people who, at the end of a wave, will be the first to exit a barricade and go out into the open. This is done to help flush out zombies camping the exit of a cade so other survivors can't leave it and flee to another cade or gather more props to help strengthen the one they're held up at. Runners will have the health and speed to almost always outrun and outdamage zombies trying to keep survivors from regrouping and reinforcing themselves. Now that you know the many types of roles survivors can play as, the only question you have left is, well, how do I acquire these items from the beginning? That's with a little help from the Worth menu. The Worth menu is what all survivors see in front of them before the game starts. Here players can pick the starting weapons, tools, and other items players can use to help stay alive. Keep in mind that some items may only ever spawn here in the worth menu, like medkits. After a round starts, the worth menu cannot be used to buy stuff. If you want to save time, you can favorite items to custom loadouts. This can help save tremendous amount of time on your end. If you loaded in the game late but you're still on the survivors team, or you were too slow picking in what you wanted from the worth menu, you'll be given a random loadout of items you can use. Most of the time there will be items catering towards a playstyle, mainly medics and defenders. Now, what is worth and how do I navigate this menu? Worth is a really funny way of saying the pre-game points you can use to buy items. Most of the time you will spawn with 100 worth. This can be used to buy anything you want, from guns, ammo, tools, equipment, etc. A general rule of thumb is that the nicer and more important an item is, the more worth it's going to cost. Here's a general covering of the different tabs in the worth menu. Note again that this may differ from server to server. Guns. Nothing too odd here, just what types of starting weapons you could possibly buy. Ammunition. This is what guns shoot. Pistol ammo goes to pistols, shotgun shells go to shotguns, etc, etc. This is kind of an obvious thing. However, one thing to note is that rifle and assault rifle ammo are different. Assault rifle ammo is for rifles that shoot automatically, while rifle ammo is for bolt action or semi-automatic rifles. Melee weapons. These are what you use to beat the shit out of zombies with. Some melee weapons have minor bonuses like the knife and plank give an increase to running speed when out, the shovel instantly killing down zombies, etc. Note the ones you want to use, especially if you're going for a blunt force defensive playstyle. Tools. These are important. This is how you're going to decide how you play as a survivor. This is where you buy medkit and medkit power to heal people, carpenter hammers and nails for kitting, resupply boxes and arsenal crates for supplying players, turrets and other forms of equipment for equipment users, etc, etc. Other. These are miscellaneous items that really don't fit in with any other categories. This could vary from a stone, explosives, oxygen tanks, or just anything that's really odd. Keep these in mind though. You never really know when you're going to need an oddball item for a specific map or scenario. Traits. Traits are passive perks that help aid you directly or indirectly. This could be as simple as increasing your base health, your base speed, or help benefit a certain playstyle, like being able to pick up heavy props instead of dragging them, give repair bonuses, do better healing rates, and so much more. These are always good to have, especially if you have a playstyle you want enhanced. Returns. These are the opposite of traits. These are passive or active punishments your character will suffer from. In exchange, you're given more worth to work with. While returns are generally a thing you want to avoid if you don't know what you're doing or you want a well-rounded character, if you really want to start off with an extra strong type of playstyle at the beginning of the game, returns can help. Keep in mind, these can be your worst nightmare and cause you to die in a very otherwise preventable way. Some examples of returns are, but not limited to, wide load, being unable to phase through props for extra worth, palsy, being able to be knocked down easily in exchange for worth, hemophilia, take bleed damage from attacks in exchange for worth, and banned for life, unable to access arsenal crates in exchange for worth. Be wary of returns and only use them if you're sure of what you're doing and you know how to counter the negative aspects. Keep in mind that this was only a general list of how to play as a survivor. Other servers will vary on what you can or cannot do as a survivor. I really recommend you try and play as all possible roles you can, and play them often. You may never know what strong points you really have and what you really do help to keep your fellow brethren alive in the zombie apocalypse. Well, now that you're set up, you need to think long term. The best way to survive long term is with both teamwork and smart point spending. Teamwork is crucial. You need many types of people on board with the goal of survival, and you need them to be on the same page as you if you want to live. You also need to spend your earned points wisely. Points are what you use to buy stuff from arsenal crates as the game goes on. You earn points by damaging zombies, killing them, repairing damaged barricade props, healing people, and having people buy stuff from your arsenal crates. It's generally best to buy items from arsenal crates during intermission because that's when everything in the crate is 20% off. This allows you to buy weapons, tools, and ammo a lot cheaper. Only buy stuff mid-round in case the situation is desperate. Now, we talked about the survivors, but Let's say the first cade was kicked in horribly and you were too slow getting into the second cade, and that one extra zombie swiped at you. Congratulations, you were transformed into a zombie. Now you must make the other son of a bitches pay for not helping you in your time of need. Playing as a zombie may suck initially. It feels like that you have to suffer the boring end of the game while everyone else who's alive gets to kick ass. But fear not, as the zombies have many tactics up their sleeves. And even if the humans slip up on even the teeniest bit, if they show one crack of weakness, it just may prove their ultimate demise. Now, zombies will stop at nothing to kill the humans, and you should fall into this as well. However, there are many ways of going around this. There are also more types of zombies than you might think. However, the more powerful ones will only be unlocked if either a certain wave or a certain percent of the human population has died. Say for example, if it's wave 1 but zombies have killed over 50% of the human population, fast zombies will be unlocked for you to use. The game rewards you for causing destruction. The game also rewards zombies with attacking in numbers. At the bottom of the middle screen there will be a meter showing a skull on it. The meter shows how much of resistance the zombies are giving survivors. The larger the resistance, the more resistant zombies become to damage from survivors. This is only a certain percentile, however. Zombies won't become fully immune to all damage. However, this is a great tool to keep the zombies alive just enough to dish out slightly more damage than what they'd normally be able to do. Now, while there may be many types of zombies, most zombies fit in a general class with slight deviations that make them dangerous in their own way. We start with the Standard Zombie. The Standard Zombie is an all-around good zombie type to play. Decent speed, damage, and health. A majority of players will pick the Standard Zombie because the more that the zombies stack up, the more dangerous the Horde is. Zombies will be the main ones attacking cades. If a prop takes too much punishment, the prop will break, this freeing up more room for zombies to attack the survivors. A subclass of the zombie is the Bloated Zombie. At the cost of slower movement speed, the Bloated Zombie has more health. Another deviant of the Standard Zombie is the Fresh Dead. The Fresh Dead is a zombie that recently died to a zombie. They have less health and deal less damage per swipe, but are faster than a normal zombie. This is best to chase down players and chip away at chunks of their health. Bloated Zombies, Fresh Dead, and Standard Zombies also have a play dead tactic. When they hit the shift key, they will lay down in position to seem dead. They will also slowly heal health back if they've taken damage of some kind. This is great for staying alive during intermission where you haven't died yet. A second subclass of the Standard Zombie is the Fast Zombie. At the cost of lower power per swipe and less health, the Fast Zombie has the ability to run faster than most survivors, attack rapidly, climb various surfaces, and leap. This is great for chasing runners and stray survivors down. Fast Zombies do best in a swarm tactic, overwhelming survivors and causing them to die in a panicked frenzy. And yet another subclass of the Standard Zombie is the Poison Zombie. This zombie will have more health, a smaller hitbox, can deal more damage per swipe, and have the ability to throw poison at humans. This zombie is unlocked in later rounds though. Head Crabs. Head Crabs are creatures from the Half-Life series that made the zombies. In zombie survival, however, head crabs are used as a distraction tool to chip away survivors' health, and to use gaps in barricades or ungated windows to get into the survivors' main base and harass the survivors. A subclass of the head crab is the Fast Head Crab. At the cost of less damage and lower health, the Fast Head Crab will attack faster and move rather quickly. This is great for causing an annoyance with survivors who will try to chase you around instead of defending the main cade. The last subclass of head crabs is the Poison Head Crab. At the cost of a slower base speed, easier to identify, and a slower wind-up main attack, the Poison Head Crab can lob poison balls at the survivors. If you manage to hit the head of a survivor, their in-game vision will be terribly blinded, and their in-game hearing will be distorted. If shot at a perfect time, this could disorient a survivor during retreat, leaving them to unknowingly be eaten from the zombie who just broke into the cade. And that's just the secondary attack. The main attack, if you can manage to land it, is a slow wind-up bite. If you bite a survivor, this will lead to a temporary poison health drain that can drain over 25% of a player's health. This could also lead to a survivor going into a panic mode, desperately trying to get health. Flesh Creepers. Flesh Creepers are zombified antlions from Half-Life. Their main attack is weak, so don't even bother with it. Their main ability is to build nests. These nests are used to spawn points for zombies, making the zombie onslaught more consistent and dangerous for the survivors, a crucial role in any zombies game. Ghouls. Ghouls are a form of zombies that, at the cost of less health, can sling poison and attack survivors. If a ghoul manages to hit a survivor, the survivor will be cursed with the Ghoul Touch. This makes all incoming damage for a short while do more damage. Coordinate an attack with another zombie, and you can rip apart a human caught off guard. Wraiths. Wraiths are zombies that humans can almost never see. The only time they can see a wraith is if they're moving or if they attack. Their attacks are really strong, and the wraiths also have a neat ability to prop kill. Prop killing is using a small prop in the map and trying to hit a survivor with it. If a survivor is hit with an object fast and hard enough, it can deal large amounts of damage. Wraiths are great at this because they can blend with their surroundings and use that as an element of surprise attack. Wraiths can also scream really loudly. This can be used to harass players, disorient others if they are close enough to the scream, and they can also cause mental warfare against unaware survivors and they get a jump scare. It could lead to them panicking. Chem Zombies. Chem Zombies are a form of suicide zombies. They cannot attack and they have weak health. When they die, however, the Chem Zombie explodes, damaging all props and humans near the explosion. This is best if you cannot stay at a cage without getting shot before you can even swipe at a player or a prop. Zombines. Zombines are the strongest common zombie. Only unlocked on the last wave, they are combines that have succumbed to the zombie infection. They have the largest pool of health, deal the most damage per swipe, and have a unique ability to pull a grenade out and run at cades and players suicide style. The explosion can deal a lot of damage, however it's generally better to attack with claws as you will deal a lot more damage in the long run. Crows. Crows are when a zombie player dies during intermission. This lets the zombie spectate the game and see what the survivors are doing during the recoup time. This also lets players strategize how they plan to attack and pick the boss zombies. Speaking of boss zombies, now would be a great time to talk about those bastards. Whoever on the zombies team did the most damage to survivors or barricades will become the boss towards the end of every intermission wave. The boss zombie is a very powerful and dangerous zombie that will help aid the Horde in some way in hopes of killing the survivors. Here, I'll be covering the standard bosses from the vanilla zombie survival. Other servers may have custom bosses or may have cut some standard bosses out. The Nightmare. The Nightmare is a super strong standard zombie. While the base speed may be terrible, he deals a lot of damage per swing and has a lot of health. If a player gets hit by a Nightmare, the Death Touch will slow the survivor down for a couple seconds. This could mean almost certain doom if the survivor isn't saved or can get away fast. The Gigagore Child. The Gigagore Child is a massive baby that can spawn tiny versions of himself. When this happens, a baby doll will appear on the ground. If another zombies player is currently dead and hits his Alt key, then he will take control over the little baby the Gigagore has spawned. The mini Gigagore is like a more nimble head crab. He's small and can weasel in the gaps of a cave easily. His attacks, while weak, are fast and can truly be an annoyance for survivors. Don't underestimate a Gigagore child who knows what he's doing. The Shade. The Shade is a zombie that cannot be hurt with any kinds of physical damage. Bullets, explosions, or melee attacks will never hurt you. This is great. However, the problem is you cannot conventionally hurt the survivors. The Shade's special ability is that he can pick up loose props around the map and zing them at survivors. From a tiny soda can to a massive table, this can be a very serious threat if the survivors underestimate or aren't top of their game. Some props can deal over 500 damage if it's large and it's thrown hard enough. Just be careful if the server allows players to nail props willingly down. You cannot pick up nailed props. If that happens, you can do something else. Be a bullet shield. Since you never take damage from bullets, you can be shielded so that the Horde can attack the cave. Only problem is that the only way you take damage is from flashlights. I don't know why, but they do. The closer you are to a flashlight, the more damage it does. Also, be very wary of flood lamps. Those do much more damage than flashlights. The Tickle Monster. The Tickle Monster is a boss that's a lot like a normal zombie, however their limbs are heavily stretched out. This helps them hit players far away, both inside a cave or not. It also lets them hit cades around the corner without putting themselves in harm's way. The Tickle Monster needs to die as soon as possible if you're playing on the survivors. It's an annoyance at best, and a final nail in the coffin at worst. The Puke Pus. Being this massive, hulking zombie that oozes gallons of chemicals and other vile things, the puke pus is a dangerous zombie boss. This boss launches gallons upon gallons of gross, toxic materials at players. This is dangerous if you can launch puke into open caves and onto survivors. The puke can easily chip away tens of health and leave a group of survivors crippled if not properly taken care of. The Bone Mesh. The Bone Mesh is a mangled corpse of a zombie that has the ability to launch explosive meatballs towards players and props. This can be used to annoy players, safely chip away at a survivor's health in a cave or around a corner, or kill a weak survivor and can start a chain reaction in hope of people dying inside of a barricade. The Butcher. A crazed, undead butcher. He is fast, deals large amounts of damage, and can swing a cleaver really, really fast. The Butcher is best used when there's a lot of players running around outside of a cave and then you decide to cut him down. Butchers aren't great for frontal cave assaults though, because they don't have a lot of health and deal pitiful damage towards barricades. In conclusion, this is the end of part 1 of my Zombie Survival Guide series. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned a few things that'll hopefully stop you from being a Kleiner and learn to get your feet wet in this great game known as Zombie Survival. I hope I can catch you on my next episode where I'm going to be covering the basics of barricading. Knowing how to barricade on Zombie Survival is arguably the most important and crucial role of the survivors. Till next time, stop those undead bastards right in their tracks.